Buenos días o buenas tardes. Um, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give you a breakdown of the lesson today in which we are going to practice pronouncing things in Spanish. So yesterday in our TED Talk, we saw a technique given by our friend Sid, who speaks 7 languages, has a lot to say about being able to learn different languages. He shared a technique in which we can learn a new language and how to pronounce it based off of the sounds that we make and not how it's spelled. The good thing about Spanish is it's known as a phonetic language. So most of the letters are going to correspond to only one sound. There are just a couple of letters that are going to be different sounds, and in English we have a ton. So it's a big difference between English and Spanish. English is pretty complicated with pronunciation. Spanish, on the other hand, is not. So the whole purpose of this assignment and practice is to allow you to gain confidence in your ability to look at a word in Spanish and know how you can pronounce that. So what I've provided is these slides, which break down each letter and how they're pronounced. I've also given you here a pronunciation guide in which I gave you some examples, so words that start with those given letters and how we would break that down in order to pronounce it. And finally, what I've done is I've given a short worksheet with 10 different phrases in which we're going to go through together and break down how we are going to write those out in order to pronounce them. Then you'll use that to record yourself on the discussion board link that's on It's Learning. So we'll do this all together so we can make sure we understand how we're putting it all together. So let's get to it. What I'm going to do is just give you the sound that is made when we use these letters. A, B, S, or K. When we see a word that's a CE or a CI, you'll make an S sound. Any other combination, like in this one, we'll say carro with a K. D, E, F, G. Just like with our C, if you see a GE or a GI, instead of G, as in gato, we'll make an H sound, as in gemelo. No sound for H. E, K, L. The only difference with our L is when we see a double L, that's going to be a Y sound, as in me llamo. As in nariz, just like an English N. Ñ. So it's going to be an Ñ, right? So an N and a Y together. O, P, K, R, or R. So if you see a word that starts with an R or a word that has 2 R's, that's when we know we're going to roll the R. If it's by itself in the middle of the word, we will not roll the R. We'll just do a soft S, T, U, B. Note that the V is the same sound as a B. We have no words in Spanish that naturally have a W, so we won't worry about that. X, just like in English. Y. If it's by itself, it makes an E sound. And S, we don't pronounce the Z like in English. Instead, it's like an S. Okay, so I'll show you what that looks like when it's written. So if you want to go back so you know how it sounds, a lot of these, again, are very similar to English, but I've broken it down here for you. And so you can see how it's pronounced. If it's just a letter by itself, you know it's just like it is in English. So a lot of these you'll notice that they are by themselves. I am going to add this note on the L. A double L situation. Add that on that space. So If you see a double L, you know that's a Y sound. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you how to break this down. In a separate video, I'll go ahead, we'll go through this worksheet here, and we'll go ahead and practice how we would look at these words and decide, using our pronunciation guide, how to pronounce it. So if we look at this, you can see the examples that are given. You can take a look at this by yourself to make sure that you see how it's pronounced, just so you can get a sense of how we're putting it together. So we have this word here. The first one is the word for airplane. It's pronounced avión. So what we'll do is we'll take each sound individually. So we have a, that's the first one. We'll put that there. We know that the V, by looking here, the V is a B sound. Okay, so we're going to take that and we're going to make it a B sound. So we're going to add the B right here. Because it's an I, we'll take the E. So it's A, B, and then O-N is just like the English word own, and that's how we'll pronounce it. So A, B, own. Same thing with bébé, right? We have a B sound, which is the same. One thing that's different is this E sound, right? That's going to be A, or very similar to how we would say the English word bay, which is where we get bébé. So as you go through these, you can see how we break them down in order to get the sounds that we need. Okay. Now remember, for the C and for the G, you need to remember to go back to the slides to look at the exact combination of vowels that will either make it for the C an S sound or a K sound, and for the G an H sound or a G as in gasp.